Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101 AFC Championship postgame show. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs are headed back to the Super Bowl for the first time in 3 years as they beat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20 at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri tonight. This was one. This was a nail biter of a game between these two teams. Excuse me, the Chiefs and the Bengals tonight. At halftime of the AFC title game, the Kansas City Chiefs led the Cincinnati Bengals 13-6. But in the second half, in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, with a little under 20 seconds, with about 17 seconds left to go, Harrison Butler, and they got into field goal range. Mahomes and the Chiefs got into field goal range. Uh, and then Harrison Butler, with 3 seconds left, was able to kick the 45-yard game-winning field goal after Patrick Mahomes and the offense moved the ball 39 yards down the field with less than 30 seconds left in regulation. The key play on that came on a third and four situation from the Cincinnati 47-yard line. Mahomes scrambled up the right side of the field for the 5 yards and was hit out of bounds, which drew an unnecessary roughness penalty to put them within Butker's range and send them to the Super Bowl for the first time in 3 years. And I'm going to give you the highlights of this game right now because this was definitely a nail biter of a game between these two teams tonight. It was definitely that tonight. And I will say, because Mahomes and despite his sprained ankle, he really dominated tonight. And Cincinnati, they just struggled offensively. They had chance. They had a slow start in the first half, but they managed to come back in the second half, and it stood tied at 20 for quite a while in the fourth quarter. But then they just couldn't get over that hurdle to get the win, and that's why Mahomes and the Chiefs are headed back to the Super Bowl. Um, and And Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to give you some more. Patrick Mahomes was forced to rely on the badly sprained ankle rather than his strong right arm when the Kansas City Chiefs were desperately driving with a chance to win the AFC Championship. The All-Pro quarterback, missing three wide receivers to injury and battered himself, took off on a third down play near midfield, and another gut check game with the Cincinnati Bengals. Mahomes strained to reach the mark he needed, and he was headed out of bounds when he felt, as I mentioned, as when he felt the hands of Joseph Asai send him sprawling into the bench. The mad dash, coupled with a 15-yard penalty for a late hit, and if Cincinnati had not had that late hit, they could have had a chance to win. But that was not the case. But it was all Kansas City needed. And as you know, Harrison Butker strode confidently onto the field, and he kicked that game-winning field goal through a cold gusting wind over the crossbar with 3 seconds to go and put the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl for the third time in 4 years, with a 23-20 win. I don't think we have any cigars, Mahomes said with a smile, but we are ready to go into the Super Bowl, and they get a couple of weeks to prepare for that. It was vindication for the AFC West champions, who had lost three straight to the newfound nemesis, including a 3-point overtime loss to Cincinnati in last year's conference title game. All of those defeats were by 3 points. Now the Chiefs are headed back to the big game. Awaiting them is Coach Andy Reid's whole team, the Eagles. That's who they will play in the matchup of black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Mahomes and Philadelphia's Jalen Hurts. It will feature brother against brother between the Chiefs tight ends Travis Kelce and center Jason Kelce. I've watched them all year, Mahomes said. It's going to be a great challenge for us, but I'm going to celebrate this first. And this is going to be one of the best Super Bowls yet. Mahomes, who hurt his ankle against Jacksonville in the division round, threw for 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, even though he was missing 3 of his wide receivers to injuries by the end. Marquez Valdez Scantling led with Scantling led with 116 yards and a touchdown, while Travis Kelce, back and all, had 7 catches for 78 yards and a score. It was a tough bunch. My heart goes out to them, man. They're tough guys, Reed said, but they worked so hard this week. Pat and Kelson were both banged up a little bit. They pushed through, and great things happened. Chiefs also managed to shut down the mouths of the Bengals, some of whom had taken to calling their home Burrowhead for Joe Burrow, who had never lost to Kansas City even since the Cincinnati Mayor Aftab Pure Val started on the trash talk. I've got some words for the Cincinnati Mayor, Kel said. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. That Burrow, who was sacked 5 times and wobbly by the end, finished with 270 yards passing to go with a touchdown and 2 interceptions for the Bengals. The Bengals, T. Higgins had 6 catches. Who had the Bengals, T. Higgins, who had 6 catches for 83 yards and the score. We're not going to make it about one play. There was plenty of plays that we left on the field today that could have put us in a better position. Bengals coach Zach Taylor said, "The character of this football team, that's never going to change. We've got the right people in the locker room, the right men leading this team and this organization. I know this is a team that our city and our fan base can be proud of," Taylor added. "They represent themselves the right way, and we're going to fight, scratch, and claw to be back in this position next year. And I think they will, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see." The Chiefs were able to do early what the Buffalo Bills could not in last week's divisional round. They ran a rough shot over an ailing Bengals offensive line, missing 2 starters to an injury, with another bothered by a sore knee. Burrow was sacked 3 times in the first quarter alone, and the Bengals offense did not gain a single yard. Mahomes looked just fine on his sore ankle in leading Kansas City to a field goal on its opening possession. When the Chiefs got the ball back, Mahomes did it again, but only after Kadarius Toney failed to pull in a nifty throw for what would be a touchdown. The incompletion was upheld on review. Cincinnati finally got moving in the second quarter, but it also had to settle for Evan McPherson's a chip shot field goal, and so much for 2 of the league's highest scoring offenses. The Chiefs finally reached the end zone late in the second quarter when Mahomes hit Kelce loosely covered by Jesse Bates III with a 4th-down throw for the touchdown. The Bengals drove 90 yards in the closing minutes, but only added a field goal to get within 13-6 at the break. Turns out the offense was just hitting its stride. Another classic was brewing after the Chiefs went 3 and out to start the second half. Burrow led the Bengals downfield, bolting through a yawning hole and in the defense for a 3rd-down conversion before hitting Higgins from 27 yards out to knot the game at 13-all. Mahomes suddenly down 3 wide receivers to injuries and beginning to limp. Gamely pressed on, he answered Burrow with a touchdown drive of his own uh, of his is capped by a third down throw to Valdez to Valdez, Scantling to regain the lead. The Chiefs had a chance to gain some breathing room later in the third quarter, but Mahomes somehow lost control of the ball before throwing a pass, and the Bengals pounced on the fumble 6 plays later, including uh, uh, an audacious fourth down throw from Burrow to Jamar Chase. Uh, uh, Samaje Perrine ran into the end zone to tie it at 20. Burrow gave the Chiefs a chance when his deep throw to Higgins on third down was batted into the air and picked by rookie cornerback Josh Williams. Mahomes managed to move the Chiefs in midfield, but two runs went nowhere, and his third down throw to Jack McKinnon was well short, forcing them to punt in Bengals territory. But Kansas City's defense, Kansas City's defense held through, though, got a crucial sack from Chris Jones to force a punt with 39 seconds left, and shaky return man Sky Moore broke free for 29 yards on the return. That gave Mahomes and the offense one more try, and it was a tough road to get here to win 10 in a row. And it was pretty incredible. It was a pretty incredible fate. Taylor said, "We come up short. We wanted to play longer than that, but really proud of these guys. But really proud of these guys." And so the Chiefs are headed to the Super Bowl for their third straight Super Bowl in 4 seasons. They ended a 50-year championship drought when they rallied to beat San Francisco in 2020, then lost to Tampa Bay the following year. And as for the Bengals, their season comes to a concluding end, and their off season will begin for them, and they will regroup for next season. They will work on what they need to work on. So I got to give the game balls to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to give them to them. And I took KC and lost, so I was 1-for-1, 1-1. So Patrick Mahomes, 29 of 43 carries attempts, 226 yards, two touchdowns, no interceptions. Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah Pacheco, 10 attempts, 26 yards, and Marquez Valdez Scantling, 6 receptions, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. So, Super Bowl 57. So that means as I mentioned earlier on the podcast, uh, Super Bowl 57 is set, and it will be the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona on Sunday, February 12th. Kickoff will be at 6 Eastern. And as you know, when the pregame Super Bowl pregame show starts, I will do my annual Super Bowl 101 pregame show. That'll begin at 11 a.m. and that will lead up to kickoff of Super Bowl 57 to kick off at 6 p.m. of Super Bowl 57 between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'll preview the game. We'll do great moments in Super Bowl history. We'll look back and some great moments on this season. And we'll even I did a tribute back on Christmas Day to Franco Harris. We're going to look back on some of his great plays as well, and a lot more. So I'm looking forward to that on February 12th, and you'll get another podcast from me this week. But for right now, that's just about going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 AFC Championship postgame show. And until then, for another podcast, until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day and every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1, I'm done.